Hello, everyone, and welcome to Brand Building on Social Media. I'm Libby Hoppy. I am the Director of Content and Digital Marketing at Pampered Chef, and with me is Danny Hubner. She leads our social media team. Today, we're going to be talking about a few key things as it relates to brand building on social media. The first thing we're going to talk about is establishing your personal brand, which is identifying your purpose and establishing an authentic presence on social media, and we're going to talk about what that means. The second part of our session today is going to be reviewing how to put the social in social media. Danny's going to lead this part of our discussion where she's going to show you some key examples of ways you can use social media for optimal brand building. And then finally, I'm going to end the session talking about how you turn brand building on social media into business building. So we will be talking about building your business on social media, how to generate bookings and sales through smart social media marketing. So to get started, we always think it's important to talk about your brand. What is personal branding? We view personal branding as the unique combination of personality and skills that make you the authentic you. So what does it mean to be authentic? Being authentic on social media means being your true, genuine self, keeping it simple and real, speaking from your heart, and making it your own. And the reason this is so important and such an important part of the discussion around how to market your business on social media is because authenticity is key right now. Each of you who's running a Pampered Chef business has one major thing in common. You're a Pampered Chef consultant. But there's much more about you that makes you who you are and that makes you a reliable and trustworthy source to your customers. So the reason authenticity matters is because it's the reason people want to do business with you. So I hear a lot from people, sure, I'm on social media and I might have a business page or I might have an Instagram profile, but why would anyone want to follow me? And what Danny and I want to cover today is how you can turn that question about why would anyone follow me into, yes, I know why people would want to follow me. So, quick exercise. Think about who you follow on social media. Think about some of the main brands or the people that you follow on social media and ask yourself a few questions. 1, why do you follow them? What is it about them and what they're sharing on social media that is engaging to you or that's interesting to you? 2, what makes them unique and valuable? What is it about the information that they're sharing that you feel like you're not getting elsewhere? 3, what makes you want to interact with them? If you're following a brand or someone you've never met before, and yet you find yourself liking their posts or commenting on their posts, what compels you to do that? There's something that makes you want to interact with them. And 4, do they feel familiar to you or relatable or friendly? If you start to think about the reasons you follow other people on social media, you can start to understand the types of things you would want to establish in your own brand that would make people want to follow you. So we're going to do an exercise in a minute to kind of help you narrow in on what your brand is. But first, I'm going to go high level and say the basics, how to establish your brand. And the reason establishing your brand on social media is important is because it creates a consistent voice for you as a Pampered Chef consultant. So the first part of establishing your brand is identifying your purpose and your tone of voice. When you think about the reasons you became a Pampered Chef consultant, you could think about our own purpose, Pampered Chef, the company's purpose, which is to enrich lives one meal and one memory at a time. So think about your purpose. If you started this business because your goal was to help other people understand how easy it is to get meals on the table fast with some great tools to be able to help you do so, that's part of your purpose as a Pampered Chef consultant. Tone of voice is a little bit different. Tone of voice is how you make people feel. So many of the people you follow probably have different tones. Some people you follow might be funny. Other people you follow might be more informational. Some people you follow might be inspirational. Those are all tones of voice, and it's how you make people feel. Another piece of the puzzle in terms of establishing your brand is creating and exhibiting authenticity for your brand, which means it should feature you. Your profiles should feature you, your life, and the things that feel very real to you. And then the third piece of that is establishing your visual presence. So what is it that you want your social media profile, your social media brand to look and feel like? Social media is inherently a visual tool and a visual platform, whether you're on Facebook or Instagram. But what you need to think about then is how people perceive you just by how you're presenting yourself visually. Finally, you want to share your real everyday life so that you are able to humanize your business for your followers. Yes, you are a Pampered Chef consultant, but you're not just Pampered Chef, you are the consultant. How do you bring yourself into your business? So we're going to do a little exercise. If you have a piece of paper next to you, go ahead and grab it. This is a great time to take a few notes because this is probably the thing you're going to reference later after this session. I doubt that anyone is going to leave this webinar and say, I know exactly what my brand is, I know exactly who I am, I know exactly what I'm going to share on social media. But the goal of this webinar today in this session is to get you thinking and headed in the right direction. So, grab your piece of paper and let's get started. The first thing I want you to do is ask yourself to think about Pampered Chef's brand promise, enriching lives one meal and one memory at a time. How do you relate to this? And write it down. Do you feel like as part of your business, you're helping to enrich lives? Do you feel as part of your business, you are helping make mealtime matter for families? Are you bringing families around the table as part of your business? Write that down. You are representing Pampered Chef as a company, so it's always important to keep the brand's purpose in mind. Now, I want you to completely take Pampered Chef off the table. Yes, you're a Pampered Chef consultant, but you're so much more than that. So put Pampered Chef aside. Now what I want you to do is write down 3 things that are important to you. Any 3 things that you're passionate about. It could be more than 3, it could be less than 3. But try to identify the things that are most important to you outside of Pampered Chef. A few examples, maybe it's your children, maybe you're on a journey to healthier eating, maybe it's your church, maybe you're in school, maybe you're a teacher. What are those other things that you're passionate about? So when you think about how other people see you and how you see yourself, in the middle there is your personal brand, right? It's the things that are most important to you that you're willing to share with the outside world. Your personal brand is the reason customers choose to do business with you as opposed to another consultant or someone else. They want to know that they're talking to and working with a person. It's part of what differentiates the type of business you have from the Amazons and all the other businesses out there in the world that are sharing information about prep tools and kitchenware. It's you that makes customers want to do business with you. So quickly, I'm going to go through what to do once you start to have your brand established. And again, you're not going to know exactly what it is that your brand is by the end of this session today, but we hope that we're giving you enough to get started. So once you have your personal brand, then what do you do? Well, you start creating authority for your business by living it every day. And Danny, in just a minute, is going to share with you some examples of consultants who are doing this every day on their social media profiles, so you'll be able to see some real examples of what consistency and authenticity looks like on social media. Second, keep it top of mind when you're sharing anything on social media, but also at parties and when networking in person. And this is important. Your personal brand on social media shouldn't just be reserved for social media. When someone's interacting with you in a virtual party or on a social media page, if they were to meet you in person, they would still want to feel like they're talking to the same person. And finally, it is okay to be unapologetically you. I hear this a lot from people who are just starting their businesses, where they're trying to be something they're not, or they see another consultant doing something that they think is interesting, or they're being coached or guided by someone else who has a different point of view and a different brand. It's very important for you to understand what it is that differentiates you from everyone else. You can be unapologetically you. Now, Danny's going to share some examples of what this looks like in real life.
Yep. So I'm going to use two examples who are both consultants. We have Jessica and Dana. And Jessica's examples are from her Facebook business page, and Dana's are from her Instagram page. So two things, the one thing that both of them have in common is that they're putting their personal brand forward right away on their profiles. They're both utilizing their bio or their About Me section and spelling out exactly what you expect to see from them on their social media presence. So with Jess, you'll see that she's a mom, an Air Force wife, and she's a foodie and a morning person. And Dana, while using a bullet list format, still tells you right away what you will expect to see from her there. She does a little bit of personality, saying that she's a wine enthusiast and a picky eater specialist, but also that some of her more professional side, so that she likes to organize social content. Both of them are not hiding what they're going to be showing, but really using it to give you a clear picture of what you will see if you connect with them. So the other thing that they did right away was that they both established their brand names right away. So Jessica is Jessica Lynn Wright, and Dana is Gather Round with Dana. So these are things for you to start thinking about, is how do you want to be known throughout social media? Do you just want to be known by your first name, or do you want to establish a new name for your personal brand like Jessica and Dana did? So using social media for optimal brand building is going to be a key part of your business on social media. And there are some things that you can do to stay on track. So one of the things, which Libby already covered, was being consistent. Once you start posting, once you establish your voice, once you establish your brand name, be consistent with it and don't forget it. You also want to post with a purpose. So once you start your social media activity, be consistent in not only how often you post, but also with what you're providing. And post with a purpose so that each time you post something, you have a reason to go out there. So one of my favorite examples is really simple. Are you going to, you're out in the world and you take a picture of a flower and you just want to post it because you think it's pretty. But that doesn't mean anything to the person on the other end who's going to see the flower. But if you take a picture of a flower and you tell a little story about, wow, I'm out taking a wonderful walk today, I came across these beautiful flowers, and I just had to share them with you and let you know that I'm doing this, and it's a great day to get outside for a walk. What are you doing to celebrate yourself today? So telling a little bit of a story around the pictures that you're posting. You also want to talk like a human. So just like what I shared as an example, talk right as if you're talking to a person. So always know that there is another human being on the other side of the screen that you're talking to. And in the same vein, quit plugging. We know that we are here for business, but you don't need every single post that you put on social media to be a sales pitch. Storytelling is going to be one of your best tools on social media. Again, it goes hand in hand with posting with a purpose and talking like a human. Use storytelling to bring your social media posts to life and to connect back to your personal brand. And ask questions. People truly do like talking about themselves, and when you ask questions, you're giving them the authority to have that platform to talk about themselves. And show up and literally show your face. One of the best things you can do for yourself and for your business on social media is to be the person that you are. Show your face, go live, take selfies, take pictures. Show that you are the human being who is behind the business. So one of my other favorite topics is moving past posting and ghosting. This is where we see a lot of not just consultants, but also small businesses and individual people losing their luster on social media. So they'll start out really strong and they'll post consistently and then they stop. Or they'll start out really strong with posting, but they never follow up with any engagement. So those are two things that you should not really do, and how you can move past it is by following these guidelines. You want to comment and reply on other posts. So yes, you want to do this on your own post and make that part of your consistency, but you also want to look for other people's posts and other brands' posts to start contributing to the conversation in. You can also live stream. Live streaming is, again, showing your face or just showing what you're doing if you're not comfortable showing your face. But live streaming will really help you get back in the news feed and become more relevant in conversations. You can also do this the same way with stories. So both Facebook and Instagram have stories, and they're one of the most popular features today. So if you're not using stories, now's the time to start looking into them. And the great thing about stories is that you can do these often. They are only up for 24 hours and then they go away. So it's a great way to start experimenting with new content. You also want to check out community groups. Facebook in 2019 has prioritized groups. So look for new groups that make sense for you and your business to be in, especially if they're local, and that way you have a true connection in those groups and start being a part of the conversation. That doesn't mean doing a sales pitch every now and then. It means actually providing value in other people's posts in those groups and being a true community member. You also want to DM or direct message your connections sparingly. Direct messaging is a really powerful tool on social media, but you want to make sure that you use it in really proper ways, which we'll cover in a little bit. And bond with those with influence. Do you know any other small businesses? Do you know any other friends or family members who are part of a DSA? Can you cross-promote each other's content so that you can tap into each other's networks? So this is a great way to expand your reach into different networks by utilizing your friends and family who have those connections, and it's a win-win for both of you. You can also share trendy posts. Are you following the Pampered Chef brand page on Facebook? Is there a post that's performing really well? You see a lot of likes and shares. Is there a way that you can share that with your audience? Because if it's performing well for Pampered Chef's audience, it's probably going to perform well for your Pampered Chef audience. You don't have to stay just on Pampered Chef either. You can look for other great brands or publishers out there that you know that your audience really wants to pay attention to also. So going back to our examples, we're going to continue to look at Jessica and Dana here. How do they apply these practices to their social media marketing with their branding? So Jessica, here's a post from her. She is taking a post from another brand and she's sharing it on her business page, and it's truly connecting with her personal brand. It's about being a mom and families. And she doesn't overthink her post copy. It's just a simple line, but she knows this is going to resonate with her audience. She also knows that this is content that her audience expects from her. And even though she is sharing it in a different way, she is still giving credit to whoever originally posted this comment. So really giving credit to where credit's due. Dana is really known for showing her face in a lot of her social media posts. That is a big part and a really authentic part of her personal brand. So here's a post from her, taking a selfie, asking questions. That's another best practice, ask questions. This one does relate truly back to her business, but it also relates to her personal brand as a mom and as a party thrower. Another thing Dana does that I really like is that she plans her content ahead of time. So if you look at her Instagram, you'll see both photos and graphics like this one. So here's one that she does with a branded graphic with text that says breakfast for dinner. And then she goes in to her post copy and asks, what are you doing for breakfast for dinner? So right away, she's asking for comments from her audience. So it gives everyone that platform to answer and talk about themselves. So she doesn't just leave that question there hanging. She also, when she receives those comments, goes back and replies to each one authentically and takes the time to provide a unique comment. So here she goes with a comment showing that she definitely read this other person's comment, so it's a true interaction between them. That's truly authentic engagement going on there. Jessica does the same thing. This is pulled from another one of her posts that was about a Quixocle, it was a Quixocle image, and the person asked her what recipe it was. Jessica could have simply just put a link to the recipe. She could have just said Oreo, but she really told a small story there. Jessica's a really great storyteller. Stacy, the person who asked the original question, then said, thank you. And Jessica could have easily just left it there, but she continued to engage. She continued to drive conversation with Stacy. And she also left it a little open-ended, so maybe Stacy's going to come back and say, hey, I tried this recipe, it was great, here's a picture. You never know what the potential is with your social media engagement, so always try to give a little extra when you go there. So when you're thinking about your brand, when you're thinking about social media, and you're trying to put all these different components together, really allow yourself some patience. You may not know your why right now. You may not know your personal brand right now, and that's okay. It actually shouldn't be something that you develop right away. You should put some thought into it. You really want to see what comes to you authentically, what's natural to you, and write that down on paper. Don't forget that. And come back to it and really start to develop from there. One of the things that social media is known for, especially today, is that people show their perfect lives. Let's be honest, nobody has a perfect life, so you also don't need to be perfect on social media. Authenticity is not perfection, so focus on being authentic. And the great thing is you can always adjust. You can adjust in how you're doing your social media marketing. You can also adjust your brand. What you are today maybe isn't who you are in 6 months from now. So constantly come back to your personal brand. Make sure you're living it day in and day out. Make sure it's still authentic to you. And if it's not, tweak a little bit, but stay true to it. And also have fun. Social media and branding really should be fun. So if it's not, hit the pause button and come back to it a later time when you feel more comfortable going back on your branding.
So now that we've talked about how to establish your brand and kind of shown you how to put that brand into action on social media, the ultimate goal is to build your business through social media. And when we say build your business, we mean make money, right? We mean sell products, we mean book parties. And so there's a lot of areas and a lot of different places you could play on social media. We're going to quickly cover today a couple of the key areas where we think you should sort of focus on applying your brand in order to build your business. Of all the different social media platforms that are out there, Danny and I generally recommend focusing on a few key areas. The first being Facebook business pages. There are a few other sessions from National Conference 2019 that also talk about why Facebook business pages, and we'll reference those at the end if you want more information on this. But we really recommend this is where you start to focus by building a Facebook business page and establishing your brand there. Your brand, you should be visible with your brand in Facebook groups as well. And then finally, we're also going to just talk briefly about Instagram as another profile where it makes sense to try to establish your brand to start building your business. So how do you build your business through social media? To start generating business through smart social media marketing, the first thing you're going to want to do, of course, is what we've been talking about this entire time, which is be authentic and live out your personal brand. The second thing is to be where your audience is. So we just covered 3 kind of key areas where you might want to consider growing your brand. And in another session, if you're interested in looking into it, where to promote your business on social media, we dig into each of those platforms more specifically. But what I want you to think about is, if you don't know anyone within your network or your community who's using Instagram, then probably that's not the most important platform for you to be on to be building your business. If you know that you're mostly communicating with those either in your networking group or in your community on Facebook, then focus there on building your business. The third thing is engaging your community. And Danny talked about this earlier, the Fab3. That Fab3 method is really important because it's not just about you talking about you on social media. It's about engaging your community, engaging your network, engaging your followers. So before you post, you should always be thinking about what's in it for my customers, how can they relate to it, and is it engaging to them? And the reason you want to do that is because you are building a business. This isn't just you and a personal profile. Remember, we are talking about business pages here. We are talking about a Facebook business page. So while you need to be authentically you, you also need to understand that you're providing a service, ideas, and inspiration to your followers and those people who are engaging with you on that platform every day. The next thing you can do is share user-generated content, meaning if you have customers who are using some of the products they purchased from you and making great recipes and texting you photos of those great recipes and telling you how much they love their new Mix and Chop, how much they love their new Rock Crock, how much they love their new Quick Cooker, then go ahead and share that content on your social media profiles. When we say be authentic, it's not that every piece of content you share has to come from you, it's just that meaning that you created it, it just means that you are the one building the story behind it and you are the one saying, look at what my customers are doing. Utilize the power of what's called user-generated content to also help establish what it is that you're sharing on your profiles. Use calls to action. A call to action is kind of that last thing you say on a post that makes someone want to take action on what you just shared. Important calls to action are like send me a direct message, contact me if you want to know more. Every post from a business perspective should probably have some sort of call to action where you're at least inviting engagement from your followers. Post with an 80-20 rule. So not every post will have a call to action from a sales perspective because you want to follow the 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule is this: only 20% of your posts should be focused directly on selling. And when we say selling, we mean something like, this month only, you can get Rock Crocks for 60% off if you host a party. That's a direct selling message. All you're talking about is the offer and what it is that someone could purchase from you if they were doing business with you, or what someone could get if they hosted a party with you. The other 80% of content you might be selling, Danny's going to show you a really good example of this in just a minute, but there's also a storytelling component to it. You're also being authentically your brand. You're just talking about yourself, and you also happen to be showing how either the products or the recipes that Pampered Chef has fit into your everyday life. Finally, make it easy for your customers to contact you. And Danny's going to talk a little bit about this in a minute.
Great. So looking back at another example from Dana, this is an Instagram post she did this summer. And what she's doing here is she's storytelling, like Libby mentioned, but also talking about her business. So we're going to dissect this post so you can see how she's bringing the business aspect to life, but still being authentically Dana. So the first thing she does is that she humanizes. She is starting to relate. So going back to the Fab3, she was relating right away with her audience. She is talking about the new Cool and Serve bowls, but in her own voice. Secondly, she brings the storytelling even deeper. So yes, she talks about what the Cool and Serves are perfect for, but also how she loves them and how she is utilizing them all summer herself. She also asks for the direct message. She's not saying that I'm going to DM you, or she's not alluding to putting comments, even though she'll probably already get comments naturally. What she's doing is she's not being shy about saying, I'm here to help you, but you have the right to send me the direct message so we can get this conversation started. She's also making it easy. Dana relates with her local friends to say, like, if you're in my area, you always get free shipping. So making it easy for them to do business with her, showing the perks of doing business with her, a human, and not with a robot, really. And then she's transparent. She doesn't hide the fact that the bowls cost $39 and $29. She makes it, again, easy for her customers to see what they're getting into so that they will go ahead and send her a direct message. So speaking of direct messaging, or DMs, I want to talk a little bit about what they're good for and what they're not so good for. So we know that direct messages are a key component of you doing social media business. So they're really great for taking those public conversations, so taking them from your comments to the next level. So you're taking your online comments into a slightly offline conversation. They really do enhance relationships. You can have that private one-to-one conversation in direct messages. It's a place that you can provide extra personalized value and continue to extend your customer care with your valued customers. What they're not good for are sales pitches. So going back to Dana's example, you should continue to ask for direct messages, but you shouldn't go out and always do your own direct messaging. Those are seen as cold calls. We don't necessarily want to be doing cold calls. That can cause some anxiety for customers, and actually a lot of our social media platforms, they have separate inboxes where if you're not directly connected to someone, they may not even see your message. And if they see the same message over and over, it could be seen as trying to get attention. We don't want to seem desperate. Also, relying on bots is not recommended. I do recommend in the word promote your business on social media to instill an auto reply message. That's just good customer care, but we don't want to set up any bots to do our work for us.
So to wrap up, we want to kind of talk about where we see the role of establishing a brand in the overall social media roadmap for you as a Pampered Chef consultant. And so this is the way we think of it at Home Office. Establishing your presence is kind of the start. It's the key to building a virtual business over time. So that first box you see, establishing your presence, is what we talked about today. Who are you? What's your brand? What kind of value are you going to bring to your customers? And how do you bring that to life on social media, on your business pages, in your VIP groups? That should always be something you're thinking about as you start to build your business. Once you have your brand established, or more strongly established, then that's when you can start to think about how that brand comes to life in your virtual parties, how that brand will grow over time. And then ultimately, what will happen is that you start to understand how that brand helps you sell one-to-one on social media, right? So we consider social selling, using social media marketing and personal branding to build those relationships and sell directly to your customers on social media. You're not going to walk away from this webinar today and say, yes, I know what my brand is. Yes, I know how to bring it to life in my virtual parties. Yes, I know how to grow it over time. And wow, look at me, I'm already selling socially super easily. It's a process, and it will take time. There are a few other sessions, recorded sessions, that you could listen to from National Conference to learn more about some of these other areas, including where to promote your business on social media, virtual selling, and virtual party best practices. That's it from me and Danny today on building your brand and building your business on social media. Thank you.